Welcome as we are continuing on in our journey through almost Christmas, a Wesleyan Advent experience. And we were entering in to day 12 of our devotional journey together. This devotion was written by Reverend Justin Coleman, and he's addressing John Wesley's question, "Can I cry out, my God and my all?" Justin begins by sharing with us a transformative moment in his life when he was a college student. He says a pastor of the church he was attending asked a simple question in his sermon: "Are you fully devoted to God?" He doesn't know why, but the question hit him profoundly that day. He'd been a Christian and had been active in church as a youth and was a weekly participant in campus ministry activities. He read his Bible daily. He was doing all the things that he had been told to do in order to cultivate a vibrant Christian life. But this question asked that day of full devotion to God caused him to do a gut check. I love his choice of words. He continued, was he fully devoted? Was he all in? He finally acknowledged that he had been running at high percentages of devotion, but wasn't all the way there. And then he asked, was I okay with being a 60% or a 70% Christian? Could I honestly cry out, as Wesley put it, my God and my all? Advent, Justin reminds us, gives us an opportunity to ask that question of ourselves and to be committed to being wholehearted followers of Christ. When we begin to do this, he says, our lives change. Though the phrase belongs to a different liturgical season, he reminds us that this happened during Lent. Jesus' words at Gethsemane resonate with this theme when he said, "Not mine will, but yours be done." That's recorded in the Gospel of Luke, the 22nd chapter, the 42nd verse. Think about the Lord's Prayer, he says, when we pray, "Your kingdom come, your will be done." And that prayer of Christ teaching to the disciples is recorded in Matthew, the 6th chapter, the 10th, around the 10th verse, where that phrase came from. It just so happens, he says, that most of us are really good at making sure our will is done. And then he thinks back to a Sinatra song that said, "I did it my way. I did it my way." Yes, we are good at singing that kind of song. But in Colossians 3, Paul teaches us that our lives are hidden with Christ in God, and that Christ is our life. If you want to read a little bit more about those, you can look up the 3rd chapter of Colossians, the 1st through the 4th verse. He said, Paul is exhorting us in Colossians 3 to give our all to Christ and make Christ our all in all. Then he reminds us of the words of Paul from Colossians 3, verses 12 through 15. Here they are. "Therefore, as God's choice, holy and loved, put on compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience. Be tolerant with each other, and if someone has a complaint against anyone, forgive each other. As the Lord forgave you, so also forgive each other. And over all these things put on love, which is the perfect bond of unity. The peace of Christ must control your hearts, a peace into which you were called in one body. And be thankful, people." Perhaps there are other questions that we could ask to discern whether we've made God our all in all. And so Scott gives this question, have I given you every part of my life at school or at work? Or how about these, he offers? Have I given you every part of my relationship with family or friends? Have I fully made God a part of my relationship with my spouse or significant other? What about kids? Have I made God my all in all in the ways that I parent my children? Have I given God every part of my financial life and my life of service? These are but a few of the questions that we can ask ourselves to help us answer the larger question of whether or not God has become our all in all, or if God still only has parts and pieces of our lives. As we approach Christmas, his hope for us is that we acknowledge and grow deeply in the need for God each and every day. May we acknowledge and grow even deeper in need for God each and every day. Great words to ponder on this 12th day of our Advent journey. Blessings.